I go back again to the arguments that are coming in from industry, that this once again raises the issue of policy unpredictability, because this again was a sector that the government itself has been championing for. There's about $3 billion that is coming in terms of FDI. Industry claims that direct and indirect jobs amount to about 2 lakh at this point in time. I would imagine that these were considerations that were factored in as part of the consultation process that took place. Now, what do you say in response to that, that this is going to lead to job losses, that this is going to lead to uncertainty as far as foreign investors, domestic investors are concerned, who have already put in money into this sector and were hoping to be able to do a lot more? This is another retrospective action on the part of the government. How do you respond to those questions that are being raised by industry and other investors?
So let me address the issue of job losses first. I think what you have to weigh here is the number of jobs created are in their thousands, and the number of livelihoods affected are in their hundreds of millions. The industry itself claims that 450 million people play these games, many of whom are distressed. And I think parliamentarians, ministers, and others who understand the distress of their constituents are very forthright in saying that this is a serious issue. So we have to balance. We have to balance between what is in the overall social good, and many of these people have talent and will find jobs in the legitimate gaming sector, which is being encouraged. So I think that is an issue which we should be able to tackle in terms of the job loss prospect itself. So I would not say that that is as big an argument, and it has been considered. It was something which came up, and I think clearly this view was taken that we need to look at it from the perspective of the livelihoods and the emotional and the mental welfare and the social distress that is caused for many millions more. So that is as far as the job losses is concerned. Coming to the investment related issue, I think we also need to be clear that it is the industry which asked for this clarity as to what would be permissible and what would not be permissible. So I think that clarity has been provided. This is something.
But if I may, sir, if I may, industry was asking for clarity on the kind of regulatory framework that the government would put in. Industry was not saying bring in a blanket ban to disallow any kind of online money games. In fact, that was not the position that MeitY itself had taken in the previous set of consultations, as well as the regulatory mechanism that the MeitY itself had put forward.
I understand you're referring to the amendments to the IT rules made in April 2023. You would note that although the amendments were made in April 2023, Rule 4B, capital B, indicated that until such time that the government approves the creation of the self-regulatory bodies, this particular set of rules will not come into force, right? And the government had a rethink on this issue, and it never approved any of the SRBs. So I think it would be not fair to say that MeitY, there was a regulatory framework which was created in a particular form. The government has stepped back from that regulatory framework after reconsideration and finding that there were a number of issues and problems there. And the regulatory clarity that the industry asked for was in a clear delineation of the industry to recognize what is permissible, what is acceptable, what will be promoted, and what is problematic, and what would need to be restricted in some form. And that clarity has been given. Of course, it could be argued that there could be regulatory measures which could have been tried of other kinds. Whereas the option now has been for an outright ban. That is a call which needed to be taken in terms of the implementability of many of the regulatory restrictions which could have been attempted, as opposed to making sure that such games are not offered at all. And the balance of convenience, the government believes, is in making sure that such games are not offered at all, as opposed to having certain regulatory mechanisms to prevent this. Now, these are choices which are made by different societies in different ways. In the Indian context itself, there are many things which are permissible or which are going on in online gaming today, online money gaming today, which are not permissible in the physical form or in the real world. We are a country which does not allow casinos across in most states. We are a country where many states are attempting to ban this as betting and gambling and not succeeding because people claim that there is an element of skill involved and it is not purely a game of chance. Now, we are now saying that, look, it does not matter whether it is chance, whether it is skill or a combination of both, all of them where any wagering, any deposit, any fees in the expectation that you will win back more, you will get back more, or you will get back that amount is something which is defined as an online money game and hence not permissible. Now, this is a societal decision. This is whether we permit casinos, whether we permit other forms of gaming is a societal decision. And in the Indian context, the political executive is clearly of the view that this is something which is difficult to permit. And the political executive, not just here, many states have attempted to ban this as well, as we already discussed, which are caught up in legal tangles in terms of the competence of state governments to enact. And we believe that the legal competence is there for the government of India, and this is a clear delineation which has to be made. There's a segment which is to be promoted. We have no doubts about that. We are defining it clearly and making sure that we have measures to promote that. And there's another segment which needs to be prohibited simply because livelihoods of a very large number of people of this country are involved. And we need to put that before any investment or any employment is created in that sector. Clearly, the investment is coming in because the returns are outsized in that particular sector. The returns are outsized and it is actually thriving on the distress of these people. Now, what kind of investments we accept and what kind of investments we don't accept is there in our FDI policy. We don't accept every kind of FDI in every case. If there is a criminal activity but it fetches very high returns, then naturally you're not going to take FDI in that sector.
Fair enough. As you point out, that this is a decision taken by the political establishment, and some of these factors, as we pointed out and discussed, the concerns that industry has raised have already been weighed on. Another consideration, though, that perhaps was part of the consultation process is the loss of revenue, because as of last fiscal, total collection of about 20,000 crores, Mr. Krishnan, and the expectation was that with the revamped GST, this would be something that would go under the 40% bracket. So was the revenue consideration, like the job loss consideration, also a factor that was discussed?
The finance ministry was also consulted, and they seem to be comfortable with it, and they seem to believe that that is a revenue loss that they can live with, given the larger social good that is being served. Therefore, I think that is not so much, that did not weigh as much as the overall social considerations.
For more news and updates, all you need to do is follow CNBC TV 18 on all of our digital platforms.